Salman Rushdie spent about an hour on the stand today testifying about the attack on him at the Chautauqua Institute, the numerous injuries he suffered, his long road to recovery, and his book, The Satanic Verses. Rushdie, who declined comment after his testimony, was allowed to enter and leave the courthouse through a non-public secure area surrounded by U.S. Marshals. While on the stand, he recalled the attack just after he took the stage at the Chautauqua Amphitheater. "I saw him running toward me and he attacked me very violently. I tried to run away but fell down because I was in distress and he was on top of me, stabbing away." Rushdie, who nearly died from the 15 knife wounds he suffered, spent 17 days in a hospital and several weeks in rehab. At one point, he was asked to lift his patch-covered glasses and show jurors what remains of his right eye, left sightless by the attack. After his book, The Satanic Verses, was published in the 1980s, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, called it blasphemous and issued a fatwa, an order to kill Rushdie, which was later endorsed by Hezbollah. Federal prosecutors alleged that it motivated Matar to attack Rushdie more than 30 years later in his fanatical dream of becoming a martyr to that group, and by, as they allege, providing such a service resulted in charges of aiding a known terrorist organization. Rushdie defended the book as a work of fiction, not meant to offend anyone, and expressed doubt Ayatollah Khomeini had ever read it. After being asked in various ways by Matar's attorney whether or not he even thought his book might stir controversy among certain sects of the Muslim community, it appeared that Rushdie had finally had enough, telling him, "The book is not on trial here. Someone else is." On your side in downtown Buffalo, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Since we've been here, we've seen multiple helicopters flying over the Niagara River. State park officials say they started their search efforts again today at daybreak, but there's still no sign of recent Kenmore West High School graduate, 18-year-old Ong La. The New York State Park Police Captain Chris Rolla says the search involves multiple agencies, including the New York State Aviation Team, Border Patrol Aviation, and Border Patrol vessels. Night vision drones, helicopters, and personal watercraft is all being used along the Niagara River. He adds that with an intense search yesterday, today, and tomorrow, it's slowly transitioning from a search effort to a recovery effort.
Since yesterday, our focus has been from the location of the incident, which is the Whirlpool Stairs area, to basically Fort Niagara, which is the entrance of Lake Ontario. You know, we're always hoping that it ends with a search and we find the individual, but sometimes they end up being a recovery.
Rolla adds that he spoke with Ong's father earlier this morning. State Park Police say witnesses told them yesterday that La fell from a rock in a restricted area by the Whirlpool Stairs while fishing. He began struggling in the water and was swept away by the rapids. I spoke with Ong's mother and cousin off camera who did not want to be interviewed. The cousin told me that the father and sister went down to the gorge to perform a goodbye ritual in their religion. The cousin also told me that the 5 friends who were with Ong when the incident occurred, there wasn't a moment that goes by that those 6 friends were not together. Anyone with any information is requested to call the State Park Police. On your side of Niagara River, Maura Vaughn, Channel 2 News.
Every child deserves an opportunity. If you're a student in the Buffalo school system, everybody should have an opportunity to be able to succeed.
Roscoe Henderson says he's ready to represent the North District on Buffalo's Education Board. Dozens of community leaders, including people from education, business, and law enforcement, came out to show their support for Henderson, a retired Buffalo police officer and community leader.
I plan to try to work with everybody. That's my purpose. You know, I don't know what other people's agendas are, but I know I want to work together. And if you're about the kids, then let's do it. I can get people in the room and we can talk about issues that I try to find common ground.
Henderson says his own experience as a Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts graduate and his education, including a bachelor's and master's degree, will help him in the role. Former board president Sharon Belton Cotman says Henderson is a longstanding advocate for students and educators within Buffalo Public Schools.
For Roscoe Henderson to step up in the midst of the controversies that are going on within the district says a lot about who this person is. He is someone who understands governance, he understands how to work with people, and he's what this district, and as well as his district, needs.
Belton Cotman says she believes Henderson can help bring stability to the board.
He is serious about whatever he does, and he has been interested in our children for as long as I can remember. And this is an opportunity for him to give back as well as to help stabilize his board.
Meet Sally.
Hi, good to see you, Mark. I'm Sally.
She's an AI-powered robot that could make the rounds in Salamanca School District classrooms this fall.
Coding and linear equations fit together really well.
Realbotics is the company that designed her and is attempting to launch a partnership with the district that would bring the first of its kind teacher aid to life.
The assistant that is safe for students to utilize, knows the curriculum, the content, the same instructional strategies that the classroom teachers are using. For a student to be able to ask that and say, hey, listen, today we were talking about linear equations. I don't get it at all. Can you explain that to me? And then to have Sally be able to explain that.
The Salamanca School Board meeting tonight to discuss the usage of the robot. While the district reports false claims from backlash online, no one in attendance pushed back. But Superintendent Dr. Mark Beeler made clear the intentions of bringing on Sally.
Artificial intelligence will not be teaching the students. Teaching is a human profession that is the responsibility and sole role of human teachers. There is no intention whatsoever in Salamanca to replace our human teachers with a robot in any way whatsoever. The robot itself and the AI learning tools that go with it are there to support the students in the classroom, to assist with enrichment, to assist with different ways of understanding.
Imagine you walk into class and instead of someone who looks like me sitting in this chair, it's a robot. Now, Dr. Beeler assured everyone that the robot's not going to be walking up and down the halls. It's just going to be sitting in a chair just like that. But he also assured the robot isn't going to be collecting any facial data or record anything like audio or video.
What we're really doing is providing safe access to AI tools that students, particularly at the high school, are already accessing, but they're doing so in an unregulated and potentially unsafe manner. Utilizing something like Claude or ChatGPT just to get answers is not helping them.
The district receiving just one robot to use for upperclassmen high school students to start. Every other student has access to the digital chatbot version of Sally online until beta testing is complete. The robot is expected to make it to Salamanca High School by the second or third week of August. I'm Nate Mills, reporting on your side for Channel 2 News.
The paper, published in the journal Communications Medicine, showed that artificial intelligence can be used to see lesions that are too hard for humans to see just using an MRI scan.
When you're a clinician, for example, or a radiologist reading these scans and you're looking for these flare-ups and you don't see them, but you see people continuing to worsen. And a big part of that story seems to be these kind of shadowy, kind of cortical lesions, we call them.
And AI was able to see the cortical lesions commonly associated with multiple sclerosis in the brain's gray matter. Dr. Michael Dwyer, Associate Professor of Neurology and Biomedical Informatics at the UB Jacobs School, says this is especially important because MS is the #1 debilitating neurological illness impacting young adults in the country, and this could help when people are experiencing flares.
There's this problem of, is this person responding well to this therapy? Is it working for them? And because we no longer see those big flare-ups as often, what we're wondering is, over the long term, are you going to have this decline? And so now, finally, we potentially have an AI tool that is letting us look at an individual person's brain and say, yes, you do see that. You do see something for this person, or you don't, and pick that up early.
This kind of treatment is not happening just yet, but researchers will be using data from big clinical trials to see if certain therapies worked.
But now, because of AI, we can go back and reuse this huge wealth of data and say, does this therapy work? Does this therapy work for this type of person?
Are you scared?
I'm terrified.
Understandable for Lexi Hawk after being shown this map from prior testing done with surface instruments of her property on Fox Avenue.
The DEC and EPA has confirmed that I have radioactive contamination in large areas of my yard, all the way up to my flower bed and into the back near my garage.
Today, a mini excavator sat outside her home, poised to dig 8-foot-deep holes in her lawn to further establish the extent of the contamination and any health risks of her staying here. She was among those who attended a raucous meeting held at the Niagara Falls Convention Center last night, where neighbors heard from both the state DEC commissioner and a regional administrator from the EPA, but was disappointed that Governor Hochul, who made 2 stops in Buffalo and Tonawanda yesterday, was not there as well.
The convention center is a 20-minute drive, and she could not show up for us, but says she cares. We're all hurt by that.
As he awaits further testing of his property, her neighbor John Doolin agrees.
I think Hochul needs to show up more to these meetings.
For its part, the governor's office released a letter she sent a week ago to EPA Administrator and fellow New Yorker Lee Zeldin, imploring his agency to treat the situation here with the utmost urgency. In a way, what has now befallen this neighborhood was somewhat predictable. Nearly 3 years ago, we told you about an EPA plane whose mission was to update a radiological survey of western New York last done 40 years prior, and how a former environmental engineer, now an attorney specializing in environmental law, who, while noting the technological advances made since the last survey was done, predicted.
And instead of the several dozen or 100 plus sites they found then, they may very well find hundreds or perhaps even thousands of hotspots.
Such as those now raising worry in this neighborhood. On your side in the town of Niagara, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
The Buffalo Fire Department once again called the St. Anne's Church on Broadway Tuesday night to fight a fire in the building. It's the second fire on the site within a week and follows a massive fire back 6 months ago that destroyed the St. Anne's Catholic School. Mayor Sean Ryan said back in January that the city government will not pay the nearly $2 million to tear down the former St. Anne's school behind me. The mayor also said that it's the owner's responsibility to manage the structures. The company that owns St. Anne's Church is Buffalo Crescent Holdings Incorporated. Construction workers examining the church site today say that they were sent by the owner. The owner wouldn't talk to us when asked and redirected us to their attorney, Jack Danziger. The attorney told us over the phone that the owners are the victims of the property's fires. The owners, he says, wanted to raise money to create a community center for the Bengali community. Danziger adds that they don't have the resources to consistently board up the buildings and that they are in constant communication with the city.
I was concerned that there was going to be another fire. I didn't think it would happen just 3 days or 4 days later, but here we are. I'm disappointed.
Majority Leader of the Buffalo Common Council, Leah Holton Pope, says the entire district, not just the owners, suffer from the fires.
They're my constituents too, and so it's impacting all of us. So they're not the only victims. The neighborhood is as well, and I think that there's a need to offer some type of security in the interim. There have been several calls about this site, people coming in, people standing on top of the school and breaking in to steal whatever relics they can get out of the church.
We reached out to the City of Buffalo government for communications between the owner and the city and did not receive a response at this time. On your side in Buffalo, Maura Vaughn, Channel 2 News.
When this truck rolls out, members of the EOD, or Explosive Ordnance Disposal Flight Unit of the U.S. Air Force 914th Air Refueling Wing, are never quite sure what they'll encounter. On May 28th, a call from police to a Niagara Falls residential neighborhood to find this box stored in the closet of a home, keepsakes of a Vietnam War veteran, including mostly hollow souvenir grenades, but
one of them was still hazardous, so we brought it back here and disposed of it properly so it wouldn't be a hazard to the community anymore.
Just another day for these airmen backing up police and fire departments when explosive devices might be involved, and various homeland security missions like World Cup stadium security or a VIP detail like a presidential visit. As part of the U.S. military, they undergo specialized months-long training at bases in Texas and Florida with constant updates to handle things here stateside, but also in a war zone with briefings, even on how to deal with a nuclear bomb.
You never know what you could get. Everything's changing almost daily, so we just have to keep our training up.
We also look at intel reports, trying to keep up on current events to see what sort of new ordinance is out there or any other kind of threat.
That threat evolved from explosive IEDs, which killed or injured U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan and especially Iraq, to now Iranian attack drones, which have hit U.S. bases.
with the adversary, there's so many things that you can pack into a drone. It makes it completely unpredictable. I mean, it's gone so far from being a regular IED where you step on it or you pick it up and it goes off to the possibilities with drones are endless. So it really keeps us on our toes, and it is a threat that we're keeping an eye on.
One soldier, not an EOD specialist, was killed last Sunday in Iraq during what the Pentagon says was a controlled detonation of a shot-down attack drone, which an EOD team like this one might be assigned to handle. They know the risk, starting with their training.
I remember there was they had some amputees in class, and they talked about their experience, and it made me a little bit unsure on if I made the right decision. But after completing the school and follow-on training, I don't have any fears anymore. Everything we do is procedural and safe, and we do the best that we can to ensure the safety of others.
To handle that very dangerous mission, technology with the training, a portable field-carried X-ray machine to show wiring in a simulated briefcase IED, including nails for deadly shrapnel, and metal slug devices that can be aimed and fired to safely disable or detonate a device. Also, of course, robots like this one.
So left, right, up, down. It's all done through this joystick.
Pretty intuitive?
Yep. Oh yeah. And you have haptic feedback too, so you can feel what's going on. If you're touching something too hard or pressing something down, you can feel it in the remote.
The delicate touch of the robot's claw, able to pick up a laptop bag, maybe containing explosives, and safely deposit it in the specially constructed pressurized trailer-mounted containment vessel dubbed the 8-Ball to transport explosives to a safer location, or even able to contain a bomb blast. When a human touch is required, the bomb suit, which weighs up to 80 pounds.
It has Kevlar in it. So what it does is it protects our main organs, and it also helps protect against heat and anything that you would get from a blast.
Now, amidst all that training and technology...
And we also do monthly demos, so we actually do just blow things up for fun too.
So then they wired up 2.5 pounds of C4 explosive and sent me to the range with a detonator 300 feet from their specially built walled-off containment pit.
Alrighty, sir. Same thing, hold the arm button, amber light, fire.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Go ahead.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I did feel a little bit. Just a little bit. You could just feel the pressure coming at you.
Yep.
So on the serious side, why volunteer for such dangerous military duty, disarming bombs or explosives?
I decided that I wanted to do more and give back more.
You're in the military, but you're more in the line of, you're saving people.
On your side at the Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station, Ron Plants, Channel 2 News.
Stretching more than 10,000 feet in length from Unity Island to almost the Erie Basin Marina, the Bird Island Pier is more than just a great place to take a stroll or do some fishing. It serves a vital function to protect both commercial and recreational watercraft using the Black Rock Canal, which it separates from the swiftly moving waters of the Niagara River. And it protects shoreline assets from waves, which at times can come pounding in from Lake Erie, like the Buffalo Yacht Club and the Colonel Ward pumping station just to the south.
That is the main source of drinking water for hundreds of thousands of people. And then you've also got Ralph Wilson Jr. Centennial Park that is being revamped right now, so it protects that as well. So really, it goes beyond navigation and protecting critical infrastructure for the city of Buffalo.
But over time, due to SAICH events, winter storms, and ice damage, it is once again in need of repair. The $15 million project now underway focuses on shoring up about 3,000 feet, or nearly 1/3 of the pier, first constructed in the 1800s, according to project engineer Aisha Blagan.
On the channel side of the pier, we are placing stone. And on the river side of the pier, we're placing cast-in-place concrete blocks and grout.
The work will be done in phases. The part underway now should be finished by November, with phase 2 starting next summer and due to be finished by November 2027.
We look at it in phases because that's really how we contract out the work, is in different portions for different contractors. But really, from the public's perspective, it's all one huge project.
And he contends a mighty important one at that. On your side, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Erie County is dropping its third-party insurance policy that's covered lawsuits against sheriff deputies working Bills games for years. County leaders saying they were left with no choice after the company stopped offering the service. The policy was a part of the old lease with the Bills. The county says it's been paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for coverage it rarely used. And that requirement from the Bills was already set to go away under the new stadium deal signed back in 2023.
It's actually going to save the county $250,000 a year because we were only insured up to $1 million, and the policy, it wasn't a decision necessarily that the county said we're going to drop this insurance. The insurance provider is no longer offering this as an option, so we really don't have a choice either way.
County Executive Mark Polenkar says Erie County is self-insured on nearly everything else, and this policy was the exception.
We take on all the risk associated with the sheriff's office. And the Bills are paying, basically reimbursing Erie County 100% for the costs associated with the sheriffs. So we've had one incident during the last 20 years in which we paid out, and we were going to have to pay $600,000 annually for a policy that at most would pay out $1 million.
That one incident, the 2017 Actel case, cost the county about $1 million. Polenkar says that's still less than what the county would have paid in premiums over that same stretch.
Well, the Actel case was around $1 million, and we've been paying $500,000 the last couple of years, and we're going to pay $600,000 just for this upcoming year. We paid more money last year and what was in the year before than basically what we would have paid in the Actel case. So I think it makes sense to not waste $600,000 on a policy that we're probably not going to use.
The county says the money it was spending on the policy will now go back into its general risk fund, the same pot it uses to cover other lawsuits against the county.
We're going into Keon Coleman's third camp as a Buffalo Bill. This one feels different than the previous two. In 2024, a sense of excitement to see the Bills' top pick from the draft, taking 33rd overall, and the team's main addition to the wideout room after trading away Stephon Diggs. Coleman flashed his talent as a rookie, but the team also made it known they didn't like the way he ended the season, coming off an injury suffered against Miami. That set the stage for a camp last year filled with intrigue. Could Coleman mature and build on his potential? An excellent camp at St. John Fisher, combined with a stellar Week 1 performance against the Ravens, made it seem like Coleman was on the right trajectory. That was not the case. Coleman had just 3 touchdowns the rest of the regular season and never again eclipsed the 50-yard mark. Additionally, discipline once again an issue, benched for the start of 1 game, then later healthy scratched for 4 games, something he called this spring unacceptable. What was supposed to be a second-year jump, instead seemingly a step back. And then there's January, the Bills firing Sean McDermott, and at the ensuing press conference, owner Terry Pegula making it clear that GM Brandon Beane was not the main person pushing for the drafting of Coleman. So that brings us to this offseason, and what Coleman himself has called the make-or-break year. The third-year wideout taking Pegula's comments in stride, saying he hears the chatter, but it's his job to lace up his cleats and perform on the field. As training camp approaches, that's exactly where he can start to make strides again and make Bills Mafia believe he can truly make an impact in the Buffalo offense. One key ally that Coleman has is his new head coach, Joe Brady. He said he told Coleman that Brady's promotion from OC to head coach was the best thing that could happen for the wide receiver. At St. John Fisher, we'll begin to see if that truly is the case. Brady has professed confidence in his young wideout, but on the field, what do the opportunities really look like for Coleman? And more importantly, what does Coleman do with the opportunities he gets? DJ Moore was brought in this offseason to be the main guy on the outside, so the Bills don't need Coleman to be a number 1, but they do need him to be productive. Can he put together a camp just like last year's to get him back on track and make him a weapon opposing defenses have to respect this season? A 33rd overall pick was a significant investment in Keon Coleman. Joe Brady's comments this offseason were significant backing of the wide receiver. The coaching staff, front office, and rest of the team hope this summer Coleman not only repays Brady's faith, but the organization's investment in his talent. Because if it doesn't happen this season, there may not be another chance for Coleman in Buffalo.